What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Aaron B, and welcome back to Tacos and Touchdown Live. And it is Taco Thursday. And I got my co-host Shane Carter in the building. How's it going, Shane?
It's going real good. The music you hear in the background is it's a remix made by my daughter, so she's making the background noise to
Okay.
this episode.
Oh, now we got a DJ now. So we getting
Uh-huh.
official over here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's
But
what's
but
up.
but but don't let her know because I not to pay her.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll be quiet
she,
then.
she's the official unofficial DJ of the show.
Yeah, we'll work out a payroll for her
Yeah,
eventually though.
yeah.
But before we
Speaking of
get in,
payroll,
oh yes,
yeah,
I like that transition.
transition.
Yeah, that's a great transition. So Dak officially got paid last week, and then we added, then we saved some more money with the move with Terrence Steele's
Hmm.
money as well. But getting Dak paid before game day, that's a pretty good move by them.
That was clutch timing. Just because it was game day and I was pretty much just like I was in the mental space from forever about like okay they're not gonna pay him this it ain't gonna
Yeah,
happen. So I was happy to be proven wrong. But what I loved most was the pettiness of the deal. That if you look at his guaranteed money, guaranteed 231 out of 240 mil, which was $1 million more than what Deshaun Watson got paid, the quarterback he would later on face in a couple hours from the time that they agreed upon that extension. So that was kind of one of those hidden little digs that no one really saw. Speaking of digs, he had a nice return as well.
yeah.
I
That
thought,
that
and really just like the entire defense. I'm sorry to cut you off, but like really
no,
the
you good.
entire defense, we saw some quality depth. Even the defensive line looked really solid. Granted, Cleveland didn't have Nick Chubb, and granted they were out both their starting tackles. But what you liked was some growth. What you liked was a lot of the young guys really stepping up. Marshawn Neal looked really good on the edge across from Tank, who obviously was himself. Kalen Carson had to step in and become the starter with Bland being out, and he did a solid job. I think it was primarily locked up against Amari Cooper most of the game. The only bad play I think he had was when they let loose Amari Cooper down the edge of the sideline, and Amari Cooper just barely missed the touchdown on
Yeah,
the base of his hands. Aside from that, he played really good, and DeMarvin Overshown. Did you? And I know you're a Longhorn fan, so I'm just gonna throw some numbers at you. And according to Pro Football Focus, he was the second highest rated linebacker all weekend among qualifying linebackers, and he was the highest qualified player making their first career regular season start. So DeMarvin Overshown, like we talked about in the draft process last year. One
yeah,
thing, and you brought this up, obviously being a Longhorn fan, what he loved was his range and ability to cover the field. What we didn't really see in terms of like what we thought was transitionable, especially after the ACL injury, was like that closing speed. He like on that sack where Deshaun was trying to skate to the outside, and he's playing sort of like a spy look, and he sees Deshaun take off towards the right side of the field. That closing speed looked fantastic. And I don't expect, and now again, for those that wondered, that was not a pass rush snap, but that does count as a sack. Because I know a lot of people are like, well, what happens if a quarterback is sacked behind the line? That is considered a sack because he's still technically in the field of passing the ball. Um, but what you liked about him because he did also lead the team in tackles, he was everywhere. He was
yeah,
rangy. He didn't really look like the ACL injury really affected him because if you remember last year when he got hurt, he was running fine. He went to the locker room. Everyone thought it was precautionary. It was really one of those more like this, it was a slight enough tear to where he had to miss the season, but it was so devastating that it caused a lot of discomfort in his leg. But having him there, Kendricks looked great. Micah was Micah. And now Damone Clark can primarily play his outside linebacker position, which is much more his style. I expect we'll see a little more Maris Leofau, but obviously right now he's being more of a rotational guy, which is fine.
yeah, yeah.
And the defense as a whole looked great.
Yeah, and then additional, Marshawn Neal looked good. He was one of
Oh
the
yeah.
he was like number 6 in total quarterback pressures with
Mm-hmm.
6.
Yep.
So this draft is looking, knock on wood, it's actually been looking pretty good so
It's
far.
been looking good, yeah. Especially if Leofau can continue to like get more snaps and show he's a reliable player. He didn't have to be a star, but
Yeah,
when you're a third, fourth round pick, you're expected to be a starter or at least a key contributor, and that would obviously help elevate his stock as well. If we get Flournoy in there, get some snaps, well,
yeah,
that's a wait and see.
yeah. That's definitely a wait and see. As of now, we probably won't see him unless on special team, and that is fine because everything else about our guys are looking good. But
Hmm.
just before we go into the next transition, about Kalen Carson, those stats versus Amari Cooper. He only allowed 2 catches, 16 receiving yards.
Yep.
He had 2 pass deflections.
Yep.
Was it like 2 or 3? He could have almost picked it off.
He did have one snap where he almost had a pick. He had a hand on it.
Yeah.
But that's why you play cornerback, because you can't play receiver.
Yeah,
but again, the one bad snap, he did get beat on the go route when they were near the red zone. It was just Amari Cooper, like Deshaun Watson threw the ball, I think, well enough. Cooper's got to make that play.
Yeah, and I get that. Your corner's gonna miss some, but it's just the short term memory. Like, okay, I'm gonna get it next time. And he looks like he's been there. So that's the best thing about Kalen Carson.
Sure.
Can't wait until Bland's out there. But before we get into our next transition, shout out to W Energy. If you're looking for that all natural caffeine supplement, like if you got a what's it called? A workout, you need that extra energy boost, or overall do you just need to get like some you got a test going on, or are you editing stuff for a podcast? W Energy is for you. It is you get it for 10% off, and using touchdowns for 10% off your next purchase and the purchase after that. So shout out to W Energy for that. But
it's at the bottom ticker for those of y'all who got spotty service.
Yeah.
Every promo code you will need is down below during the show.
Yeah. Just make sure to check that out, because we want to make sure y'all get those discounts, because it'll definitely be a help out for that. But do you want to get into some college football talk, or did you?
Of course I do. Of course I do.
Yeah. I want to get your opinion on the game versus Texas Tech versus Washington State, but get into this week's game. Y'all got?
So that was pretty much just like and the exact opposite of what happened week 1 against Abilene Christian, where essentially in that game the defense faltered, but the offense had to take over. In this game, the defense, I thought, played well enough for you to win, but the offense put the team in a difficult position and didn't really give the defense enough rest to have any sort of effect. In one drive, you went for on 4th down, and they take over on your 43-yard line, and then that play, it's a 43-yard run down the right side into the end zone. Now, granted, the defense shouldn't be allowing 40-plus plays, but they still gave up a short field for the defense to work with. Very next series, Tech turns over the ball, and Washington State gets the start on your 1-yard line. And then from there, it's a 1-play, 1-yard touchdown run. And at that point, before those touchdowns happened, it was still relatively close. It was still combackable. But the offense looked flat. The play calling stalled. Baron Morton, I thought, like, I thought he was making a lot of risky plays, but also, like, you kind of put him in a position to where he felt like he had to do everything. Obviously not having Taj Brooks hurt because the running game couldn't get anything established, and he is your tone setter on the running game. You obviously lost your left guard, Vinny Scurry, for the season, so obviously that sucks, which means now you have to move Caleb Rogers over from right tackle to left guard, which I'm okay with in terms of because you can put him and Portia on your left side, which protects the blind side for Baron Morton. And also because Caleb Rogers, I think, of all your offensive linemen, has the best chance to make it to the NFL for what he offers. And if he's able to show true position flex, that could benefit him. So I'm okay with the move, but it also means your right side of your offensive line is going to be a real problem for the season, it looks like.
But so we're getting into the North Texas game. What do you expect for Texas Tech to do to win against UNT?
Well, I mean, hang on. I want to get the names right because in this game, Tech is actually going to be introducing 3 new players into their Ring of Honor.
Okay.
And one of them is the obvious one. It's Wes Welker, who is a premier, like, both punt returner and receiver for his time at Texas Tech before he became what I think will be a future Hall of Famer in the NFL. I'm not just saying that because I'm biased. I'm just saying simply because, well, I mean, I am a little biased. I can't pretend.
And nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. But yeah, Andre Tillman is another one. I can't remember the other guy's name. I feel embarrassed because, like, I wrote this down. I can't find my notes. I got them. Anyway, like, so that game, the focus is going to be primarily on the retirement ceremony. That they're going to be bringing 3 guys into the Ring of Honor. But in that one, you're looking up against Chandler Morris, the TCU transfer quarterback for UNT, and he's actually been solid for the Mean Green. I believe Tech has the better team, but I've also thought they've had the better team than they have in terms of a talent situation, a talent perspective against Abilene Christian and Washington State. But injuries have hurt them against Washington State, and playing down to your opponent hurt you against Abilene Christian. If you go into against UNT with the same mentality as you did against Abilene Christian, they will give you problems because they can move the ball through the air, and you're already thin on the defense. You've lost your top 2 edge rushers. Braylon Lux, your number 1 cornerback, already missed a game. CJ Baskerville has been dealing with injuries. We don't really know if Tosh Brooks will be there or not. I think he should. We'll see. You're going to need him because this was the dead last worst run defense in the college football last year. So this will be a perfect time for him to get back on track with his offense. You want to see your 5-star receiver Micah Hudson get some snaps because he's been sort of a no-show. And Coach McGuire has been kind of like giving you iffy answers about what it is, why he hadn't been used. Like, who do you take off the field? It's called rotation. And my daughter over here doesn't like the fact that I'm not using Micah Hudson either. Josh Kelly, their one I would consider premier receiver right now, has been solid this year. You got to get him going a lot earlier. And I think you have the weapons and even the quarterback to get it done. I'm concerned about the right side of the offensive line. I'm concerned about the run game if Taj Brooks can't go. And I'm also concerned about the edge because right now you have no pass rush. You need to find someone who can establish a consistent pass rush for you. Otherwise, teams that can throw the ball won't fear you as much, and they'll take the chances going deep.
Yeah, and which is crazy to me. When I think of Texas Tech, they always have that one pass rush on the team. So looking at this team, I understand y'all have a young team, but one's got to definitely step up.
It's supposed to be Charles Essers or Joseph Adedar, but Joseph Adedar has not played the season, and he won't. He's out for the season with an injury. And Charles Essers has missed the first 2 games of the season. I believe he's questionable for this game. I'm not sure if he has a designation just yet. But he's supposed to be your main guy. So we'll see where they go with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely if you want to get your Texas Tech talk from Shane, he should be your number 1 guy for sure.
Mm-hmm.
He definitely knows the stuff on that.
Listen to us over at Believe in Texas Tech.
Yes, sir. So definitely check out his show. He definitely bringing out some great stuff.
Hold on now. You got some Longhorns to talk about. Now I know you are a San Antonio area native. So I know you have respect for UTSA, but as that flag in the background indicates, and also your work with FanSided tells me, you cover and are a fan of the Texas Longhorns. And now UTSA takes that quick hour and a half, 2 hours, it depends how fast you drive, up 35 to Austin and takes on the number 2 ranked Texas Longhorns. Let me ask your opinion because I know you're a Longhorns fan, but I also know you have a lot of respect and love for San Antonio. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you're a native of the area. Is this a trap game, or is this just a team in the way for Texas? Like, how would you characterize this game?
It's one of those games that the Longhorns are going to win this game. I do, like you said, I do respect UTSA, but this team that what UT's got this year, I think it's going to be like how you've seen when they played against Colorado State. But I believe UTSA is going to get a couple points on the board. I don't see it as a skunk type of game, but it's going to be a game where we may have 3 to 4 touchdowns over them. But the thing about the Longhorns' habits sometimes is they'll get into where they play to the team's. I'm looking for the word, like they'll play to the level of the other team that they should be.
Play down to their opponent.
Yeah, they play down to their opponent at times. This year they haven't so far, but I see this game where you get to see Jared Gibson probably get most of the carries because last week Jaden Blue got hurt with the injury. So I see Jared Gibson could be possibly trying to go for 100 yards, but that may not be the case. But because you have Trey Wisner as your second running back, and then you have the guy from SMU. I forgot his name, and I did an article on him. That's how I feel bad about that. But and then overall, it's just been a really good season so far with this team, and they're utilizing their freshmen. You had Ryan Wingo, who was actually our leading rusher, who had a jet sweep run for 55 yards that could have been a touchdown, but it didn't. But when it comes to they got to spread the ball out to the receiving core. You have your safety blanket in Gunnar Helm, who had 97 yards and a touchdown this year against Michigan. And when it comes to UTSA, they've been struggling against the pass so far. They haven't allowed over 500 yards and receiving yards and 3 touchdowns in their first 2 games, and that's against Kennesaw State and Texas State. So I see them getting the ball out to Isaiah Bond, Wingo, and Matthew Golden. So like how Sark said, he's going to rotate these guys in the best situation. I think his overall is going to come out the the Longhorns are going to put a lot of points on the board, but there's going to probably be some moments like, okay, yeah, y'all playing down to y'all's competition, and defensively you got to bring the pressure like you've been doing. Colin Simmons had a great game against Michigan. He had over 9 pressures and then safety on Andrew Makuba, who we got from Clemson, Austin native, was showing out, making a statement like, I'm here to play, and I want to make a statement on this team. So I don't have an exact score for this game, but I think it's going to be a really good game for Texas.
I think if you're Texas, what you don't want to do is go out flat after coming off a big-time win against Michigan, the reigning champs, in the Big House. Because after them, I can't remember who Texas has next week. What?
Monroe.
Lamo? Okay. Well, then they won't look ahead, because if you have back-to-back opponents who are like who are a group of 5, then you only have an opportunity to look ahead just because they're back-to-back. But one thing I'm looking at is going to be Trey Moore, who was the nation's leading sack getter last year with the Roadrunners, and now he comes in for Texas, going now against his old team.
Yeah.
I'll be watching that for sure. I'll also be looking at how UTSA responds in the trench warfare, because if you look at their first game against Kennesaw State and last week against Texas State, offensive and defensive line both had their issues. Obviously, you just talked about it a little bit. And now I think the Longhorns' defensive line, no offense, I thought last year's defensive line was better than this year's in terms from a talent perspective, but I think you'll have enough to get around that. It'll be interesting to see how the Longhorns want to attack that from that perspective, and if they can get to Quinn Ewers on time, because Quinn Ewers, he doesn't really hold on the ball very well. He's a quarterback who likes to get the ball and get it out as soon as possible. He's a first read type quarterback, which is good because a lot of times it means you have the play design, but that's also bad because if that play is taken away, how are you able to improvise that sort of thing? So I'm looking at that perspective. If you're the Longhorns, you want to blow out just because you can't really afford a close type of performance, because that makes you appear weak. And even though you're in the SEC, those other SEC teams can take advantage of that sort of thing. I expect them to win, but if you're UTSA and you're still up, because again, with the new playoff rules, they're going to take at least one Group of 5 team into the playoffs this year. And if you're UTSA, you're already 1-1. You can afford a loss here, but you don't want to get blown out if you can help it, because if you lose to Texas, your best bet, it feels like, is to win out from there, from like the rest of the season on. Otherwise, like, they'll take a team like Liberty or take a team like Memphis or whoever, like, the best Group of 5 team is left available. But I'm with you on that. I think Texas wins, but I think this is going to be more along the lines of a tone game for UTSA, like how they respond after 2 really below their standard performances to start the season. And Texas right now is playing better than anybody else in the nation. So we'll see which one is prevalent on Saturday, because something's got to give.
Yeah, it's kind of that affects both sides of the sides. Like UTSA, they want to set a tone. Okay, we're not this pushover team, but Texas don't want to be this team. Like, okay, we're kind of going back to that level where we play to the level of the other team. But before we get into Dallas Cowboy football talk, I got to shout out to TLU, the school I actually graduated from, who actually beat the 13th-ranked team, Trinity, last Saturday. So shout out to them. I'll be out there Saturday to root them on for sure. But before we get into it, shout out to our
your school has a glorified high school stadium.
Yeah. They finally want to. I can't even defend that stadium, to be honest with you, but they're actually working on it. They're going to name it after Vernon Lundquist. So, well, hopefully we in the next couple of years we see a better stadium, because that's kind of a hard selling point trying to get these recruits in when the stadium is a lot smaller than the one they probably played in high school. But that's neither here nor there. But shout out to our sponsor, SeatGeek. If there's NFL football going, college football going on, you want to save some money, use promo code Tacos Touchdown for $20 off your first purchase, because that $20 can go a long way, especially when you go into these games. But getting into this game against Dallas Cowboys versus the Saints, it's a noon game. What's your thoughts on this game and playing against the Saints?
Sorry, my daughter wanted to give her opinion, but she can't really formulate sentences just yet. Sorry, baby girl. Next time. My thoughts going into this game were like, I had to look at this game from a perspective of like, are the Panthers that bad, or are the Saints this much improved? Because the offense looks good. Everyone's talking about Clint Kubiak, who is a Shanahan disciple coming in offense, which has Derek Carr. Derek Carr struggled last year, but he played well last Sunday. But again, the Panthers, they just lost Derek Brown, so like that might have been their best defensive player left. And what do you have left from that? I'm not. The Panthers really might have the number one pick 3 years in a row, which is crazy. One aspect that I saw in this game that I think they actually have an advantage, believe it or not, is I think Kevontae Turpin can be a tone setter for this game, because if you looked at the Saints last weekend, they gave up over 200 yards returning on kick return combined, over 200 yards, and in fact they gave up multiple 25-plus yard returns to different players on the Panthers. They used different returners back there, at an average about 20 per return. And obviously Kevontae, who's coming off his first career return for a touchdown in the regular season, I think he might be a factor in this one, just because the Cowboys seem to really want to get him the ball, and I'm almost wondering, because they've used him. If you look at the preseason, you look at camp, they use him at running back. They use him a lot in the slot game. They used him a lot in motion, and also when he had the chance to return the ball, he would return it. And I think they just want to use his speed, because he is one of the few guys they have on the offensive side of the ball that has sort of game-changing speed. There's him, there's Cooks, and Deuce in a sense. Deuce doesn't really have long speed. Deuce has real good initial burst and quickness. He slows down after a while. Some guys pick up speed. He's quick to start, and then he loses it after a while. But I mean, if you can still get 6-7 yards after that, there's no issue there.
Oh, there's no complaints.
Right? Yeah, there's no complaints there. So that's an aspect that I would look at. If I look at the offense side of the ball, by the way, it was reported that Talisi Fuaga, their first round pick, he missed practice for the second straight game, so that's something to watch as well. And when you're starting tackles being out, and I know, baby girl, sorry, and the Cowboys have shown that they can create pressure with multiple guys: Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, Marshawn Nealon. DeMarvin Overshown and Eric Kendricks both applied some pressure as well on that side. So you're looking at different ways that they can apply pressure to Derek Carr. Derek Carr is not the running threat that Deshaun Watson is. He has a much better arm still. Yes, I said that. Derek Carr right now has a much better arm than Deshaun Watson does, because I think he has a properly working shoulder, and also everything is still there mentally. And I don't want to get into the legal side of Deshaun Watson.
I understand.
That's its own thing. But I do think, do you have enough on defense to play against the Saints offense? I would expect you would probably. I think the Cowboys want to see more from the running game. I think the running game did enough for you last week that you can get away with that. It felt like in the second half the offense kind of lulled a little bit because after the return game they didn't have the ball that much anyway. But I think they want to see more from the running game. I think they want more from Zeke. They want more from Rico. They want more from Deuce. They want to create more plays in the running game. So I think that's something to watch out for as well, because the Saints, for what it's worth, do still have a solid front seven. And I think if you can run the ball on them, it can help establish the run for them moving forward, because you have another really good run defense after that in Baltimore the week after. So I think if you want to start creating a running game, this was the week to start off.
Yeah, these next two games are definitely tests in the trenches, seeing what they can do, establishing a run game, trying to figure out who's the one. I feel like Rico's gonna get majority of the reps eventually, but when it comes to Zeke, he had a solid performance. He had 40 yards per carry. He's showing that he's that short yardage, physical back. Got a little bit of that explosiveness left. He's not 2016 Zeke, but he's a guy that we wanted last year. That guy that can get us those short yards, who's gonna fall forward and get us those touchdowns as well. And both of them were vulnerable in passing block. That's what we definitely need on both sides. So,
who would you say, if you had to pick one player on the Saints, you want to neutralize this guy? Who is it?
Are you talking about on the offense?
On the Saints offense, if you're the Cowboys defense, who are you trying to neutralize?
From what I've seen on film and stuff, one guy that a lot of people talk about, Chris Olave, but the guy I'm looking at is Rashid Shaheed, who's a guy who also offers stuff in the returning game, but he's a guy that can be a deep threat type of guy in the slot. Who last week had like 5 targets for three receptions for 73 yards, but one of those receptions went for 59 yards for a TD. That's a guy that I see against Jay Lou, who had a solid performance against the Browns. So I think that'd be a key matchup to look out for. And when Rashid, that's a guy that I think that may test his secondary. But we'll see. I want to see what they can do trying to neutralize Rashid in this game.
Okay, so if I'm going to neutralize anybody, it's going to be actually a position. I want to neutralize the tight end position because I think the Saints know they don't want to test the secondary. They already tried testing Kalen Carson, and the Cowboys did a good job of shadowing Malik Hooker over to that side as backup. And the one time that he didn't was the Amari Cooper almost touchdown pass. Mm-hmm. And obviously, you don't want to test Diggs because he's become not just a ball hawk. You saw last week against Jerry Jeudy. He's become a really good route processor as a cornerback. So I think what they want to do is they want to get the ball to the tight ends. And last week, Derek Carr threw, I believe, 7 passes total to the tight end position between Foster Moreau and Jawan Johnson. I think they caught 6 of those 7 passes. I think one of those was for a touchdown. And I think he's going to want to, and I think they're going to try and avoid the secondary. So yeah, everyone talks about Rashid Shaheed. He has been a name that's brought up a lot. Of course, Olave has been a name people bring up a lot because he's technically their number 1 receiver. I'm looking out for the tight end position because I think they want to create the mismatches. I think they want to get the ball out quick, and I think the best way to do that is because if Alvin Kamara is going to be an option as well at the backfield. But I think if they want to have consistently get the ball out, I'm watching the tight ends. So whoever's covering the tight ends, whether it's Donovan Wilson or Damone Clark or DeMarvin Overshown or whoever it is whose job it is to collect those routes, that's who I want to take away because I want my cornerbacks to get tested because I think we have the corners to take down this receiving corps. I want to take away the tight end position because I want to take away his safety blanket to avoid those quick passes to extend the drives.
You think this is the game where we get to see some Wanye Thomas involved trying to against those tight ends?
I would like that because he did a solid job for you last year as a tight end neutralizer, especially whenever J-Ron Curse had to play more of a pure safety role. Whenever they lost a lot of their linebackers and they had to move, they had to shuffle safeties around doing stuff like that. Wanye Thomas did a good job, like high and low nickel, third safety. And he was one of your tight end neutralizers. But I do wonder if they wouldn't first want to give those snaps to Damone Clark and Marvin Overshown because those guys can cover on the outside. But I also don't know if they really want to open up the middle of the field like that. So if they were to get Wanye involved more, that actually wouldn't be a bad idea. I think that's actually an interesting concept. But I wonder if they want to use their linebackers first because even though we're not used to it, the Cowboys linebackers have speed. Yeah. And I think they have the personnel to do it, but I think I'm almost with you that I'd rather have someone like a Wanye. Wanye's what 6'3", 190 or something like that.
Yeah, he's a tall dude.
Yeah, he's a tall, long type of dude. He's just I wouldn't hate that concept, but I wonder if Mike Zimmer really wants to go away from his 2 or 3 linebacker looks. Yeah,
I just don't want to take away from DeMarvin Overshown what he was doing last week. Being that guy, so I was thinking maybe having Wanye involved in that situation.
Overshown, I wouldn't be surprised if he's playing on the outside next to Kendricks and across from Clark and all that. I wouldn't be surprised if he's the guy who Zimmer says C41 about Alvin Kamara. That's the guy he wants to key up on because I think that's something he can do. Now I think Damone Clark has shown he can play that as well on the outside. But that also would mean that you can't play your third safety option. So if you want these two linebackers which have speed and have the ability to cover the running back, like what do you sacrifice there?
Yeah, there's always something you gotta. There's like something you're gonna sacrifice, but you don't want it to be like a big sacrifice where big plays could happen. But So the last thing I wanted to get on, what is like your 3 keys to victory against the Saints this week?
Okay, so my 3 keys. I want what my 3 keys are. I want to establish a run, not just for this week, but like to move forward, so you can find a consistent running game. Because even though I think Dak can win the game for you, I don't want to put it all on him. Yeah. It might sound kind of boring. I want to establish the run. Number 2, I want to take away the tight end position, like I mentioned, because I think that's where Derek Carr is going to look at a lot is the tight ends. He's going to look at those quick out options. And my third one is don't set yourself up in third down and long. Because last week in the second half they went 0 for 5 in third down, and all those were for I think 3rd and 5 or longer. And if you really want to continue those drives, you want to set up 3rd and 4 or shorter to give yourself the option. Because once you're in 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, you're gonna throw the ball, and they know it's gonna happen. And they're gonna find a way to neutralize CeeDee Lamb coming across it. They ran those quick slants to CeeDee Lamb 3 times, and the Browns finally figured it out and put someone in the way to make it more difficult for him. So you want to take away that predictable play calling, and I think if you can set up 3rd and short and not put yourself in 3rd and long situations so much more often, you put less pressure on your offense, which equates to less pressure on the defense, which takes away the other team's ability to move the ball on you when they have it.
Yeah, those are definitely good points. You took one of mine already about the stopping the run. So one of the things I want to talk about is getting to generate pressure on Derek Carr. Like last week, the Panthers hardly pressured him. He went for 2 for 2 for 60 yards and a touchdown with a 33-point sack rate. I expect Micah Parsons, D-Law, and Nealon setting the tone in the pressure category. So this team this team's pass rush last week had 6 sacks for 17 quarterback hits. I want to generate a good pass rush against Derek Carr, where he can cause some turnovers and some mistakes, because we got the secondary to make some plays and the linebackers as well. So just make it a rough rough day for Derek Carr. I think that'd be great for this defense and just playing solid football against them. But I want to see them get the ball more to CD, and then with Jake Ferguson out. Have they said he's gonna be out for this week, or
he's week to week? I would rather them sit him this week if it meant that they could have him against the Ravens. Just because you can move on that knee doesn't mean you should just yet.
Yeah.
I have someone who's hyperextended his knee multiple times. I know it sucks, but I also know once the pain subsides and the swollenness of your knee can go down quicker. It means you can move out there a little more, but I would still give him a week. The fact that he's able to practice at all is encouraging, but even still, I would rather sit him. And even if it means you go with Scooney and you go with maybe John Stevens is able to play this week, and then obviously Brevin Spanford, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
If it means you have Jake Ferguson for the rest of the season, I'm okay if he misses Sunday.
Yeah, I'd rather him just miss a week, so there wouldn't be no probability where it could be extended to a longer time, because
right.
Especially against you're playing against the Ravens next week. You need as much as firepower with that.
Yep.
So the player that needs to step up, you got CD and Cooks had a solid play, but we need the tight end to step up if Jake Ferguson's there, because Luke Schoonmaker, we didn't see much from him last year overall.
Which is why I think if John Stevens is available, this is a big week for him, because he, after Ferguson, is your best receiver at the tight end position.
Yeah. And because he was probably dealing with some hamstring issues, so hopefully we can get John Stevens out there to be our tight end one for this week. But before I let you go, what do you think the score will be for this game against the Saints?
God, I don't know about scores. I know right now the Cowboys are a 6.5-point favorite, and they have a 62% win probability according to I think it's Vegas Insider or something like that. But I also know that even though it's at home, and the Cowboys haven't lost a home regular season game since week 1 of 2022, I believe. So that's going back a ways. I also know that streaks are meant to end. But the Saints also play this game like a rivalry. The Saints are an underrated rival of the Cowboys. And rivalry games, even though they mean more in college, they can still add a little bit extra to you in the NFL. So I would expect this game to be close, but I'm going to say something along the lines of 27-20. I think the Cowboys should still win it. I think they're the better team. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I don't think the Saints are this amazing team that's going to put up 50 points like they did against Carolina. But I do think they're improved from last year, and I think that Derek Carr probably benefits from Clint Kubiak. But I also think that the Cowboys' offense and defense is miles ahead of what Carolina is, and the fact that they're playing at home is also going to benefit. So I expect a close win.
Yeah, I'm in that type of range, and I see the Saints as more like a fun team to watch this year, and not a team that you're just saying, oh, they're going to be going to the Super Bowl this year. But it's going to be a formidable opponent this week. But That's all for this show. But before I let you go, bro, where can they check out your Texas Tech Talk and more?
Yep, I have more shows down. I try and download anywhere from 2 to 3 episodes a week. It's for Believe in Texas Tech. We're trying to add all those shows over to Spotify, and then once we get more viewership up on those, we're going to try and create a YouTube channel as well. For right now, you can listen to it primarily on the website. I'm trying my best. I know a lot of people have asked me like, why isn't it on Spotify? When is it on this? Well, I need y'all to listen to more episodes so that I have the justification for creating the accounts, and that's just how that works. For I know a lot of people in the and around where I live know me primarily for radio, but obviously you can't find my radio stuff on here, so it's kind of moot. But if you want bad jokes and bad takes that every now and then become right, you can follow me on Twitter or on Instagram. All my social media is the same handle at Shane Carter TX, which you see right here. And other than that, hopefully the Cowboys. Hopefully the Cowboys don't get sucked up too much into beating the Browns, and hopefully my Red Raiders will finally get their ish together against North Texas.
Yeah, and you can check out my last article from last week with Hook 'em Headlines. I'll be back with another one. Probably definitely talking about the UTSA.
Another one.
Yeah, another one. But
and another one.
Yes, and then follow me at Aaron B901. I don't know why I have 901 on Twitter and stuff, but
yeah, why are you 901? That's a good question. That ain't even your area code in your phone.
Nah, it's really.
Is that your birthday? Is your birthday September 1st?
No, I was born December 16th. So I think I just let Twitter pick my name and that just roll with it.
No, stop. You got to change it. Okay, now that we're on the show, since we're in this thing, you need to customize it to where it makes a lot more sense. Unless 901 has some sort of significance, that's letting Twitter control it. You need to change it to where it fits you or what you're doing or something. Like at least mine, Shane Carter TX. People know that's my name and where I'm from. Come on, man. 901, 90210. 90. What are you doing? I thought 901 was important, but now it's just randomized. Come on. It's because 900 other Aaron B's are on Twitter.
Yeah, I think that was what it actually was, and I just roll with it. But I could have did.
Come on, you know better than that.
Yeah, I usually go with my high school football number 93 or my birth year 1990. But I'm
no. You got use something different than that. Like we know what we'll do. We'll create a Twitter poll. You and I will each of us will think of 2 good Twitter handle names. We'll put it on the Tacos and Touchdowns Twitter account, and we'll let the fans decide what your new handle needs to be. And you need to put that across all social media. Shake?
Yeah. Okay, I got you.
Okay, there we go. We're gonna get your game right. Don't worry.
Yes, sir. So we did the Southern handshake, so it's official. So I can't go back. So possibly next week I'll have a new Twitter handle.
Yeah, we'll give it a week, and by next Thursday we'll see what Aaron's his new handle's gonna be.
Yeah, I hope y'all nice with my Twitter handle. At least nothing crazy, but we'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
So this has been Tacos and Touchdowns live. We'll be back next week. Hook 'em horns and go Cowboy. Here we go.
It don't matter. You're on the SC. It's all good.
Yeah, Mr. Reckham over here. But this has been Tacos and Touchdown live. Y'all have a good one. Peace.